This is the Newyes scan reader. It's a rather unique device that promises to be able to translate both text and voice offline without the need of a smartphone. But how does it hold up in the modern age, especially when it compares to something like a mobile application? Well, stick around as we do a full review and deep dive of the Newyes scan reader. Right out of the gate though, I think the price of this device is going to scare off and alienate a lot of people. It is not cheap, it comes in at around £150. That's actually quite a lot of money, especially when feasibly it could probably be outperformed by a mobile application. But I think this device has a lot of interesting and unique features that a mobile device simply cannot do, that makes it a rather compelling buy if you are the right person. Opening up the packaging, it is very simple. You get the scanner itself, an instruction manual, a test card and a USB-C cable. Looking around the device, you really do appreciate just how well built this thing actually is. It comes in this really nice metal blue back and it is full glass front. On the back of the device we also see those small speaker grills for reading out translations if desired. Touring the device, we see on one side that big red power button alongside the volume rocker. I do feel like the placement of these buttons could have been better because the amount of times I went to turn down the device's volume and ended up turning it off, or vice versa, was very, very high. I'd have liked to have seen maybe the power button on one side and the volume rocker on the other, just so I didn't accidentally click those buttons. Along the top, we get those two microphones for picking up audio input. On the other side we have absolutely nothing, and on the bottom that main scanning portion of the device. Powering on the device for the first time, you are greeted with a super simple setup. I love this because this device isn't built for real techies like me or maybe you watching this video. It's built for the everyday person, and it being so simple makes it that I could feasibly give this to my grandparents and I feel like they'd know what to do. Simply choose your language, connect to the Wi-Fi network and it will set itself up and it's done. Then you're dropped at the home screen ready to start using this device, either online or offline, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in 1 second. First off, let's talk about text translation. This is probably going to be one of the main reasons you're buying one of these devices. Basically, going into this app, you're allowed to translate 4 different languages offline. I'd have loved to have seen the ability to choose more languages to have offline because the 4 that are here are rather limited. But if you're online and you're using this device, you can use up to 50 different languages. Simply head into the settings, choose the language that you're scanning and the language that you want to translate to. Then we'll use this test sheet. Simply place the pen down at a 90-degree angle and slowly drag across. And it's at this point that you really start to appreciate the ergonomics of this device. It feels absolutely awesome in the hand because of its weighting and the way that it's curved. I can feasibly see myself using this for quite a long period of time without it feeling too heavy or getting any kind of hand cramps, particularly with a device of this nature. I can see this being super useful for reading menus while I'm abroad, for instance. Once I've finished scanning, it will either read it out to me if I've got the volume up, or I can look at that small display and actually see both that language that I'd scanned in and the English equivalent in my case. Even when using an online language, the translation is incredibly quick. I'm on a 2.5 GHz network and it took maybe a second or two to actually get that response. It was about the same as using the offline mode. There was very little latency or delay in actually getting that response, which I absolutely love. Let's talk a little bit about that screen though. It is a little bit small and a little bit low resolution, but realistically, I don't think it matters. You're not going to be consuming any sort of content on this screen. You're mainly going to be using it to read off that translation, which I think it is absolutely fine for. It's actually very easy to read in direct sunlight because of how bright it is. It is a little bit glary because of that glass front, but it's something that I could certainly deal with, and I was very happy with the display as a whole, particularly for this price point. Before we do continue with this review though, I just want to say that if this is the first time that you're seeing my face on your screen, then 1, lucky you. And 2, go down there, hit that subscribe button, smash that bell notification icon so you get notified every time I upload. Without further ado, let's continue with our review. Next up, we have speech translation. Once again, this is very, very simple. We simply head into the app, choose the language that we're speaking, and the one that we want to translate it into. And then you just hold down that volume button, speak into it, and then it does it. It is incredibly quick once again, but one thing I really feel is missing from here is the ability to actually have a back and forth conversation with someone. If, for example, I choose English to French, I would be able to speak in English and it would translate it to French, but I would have to actually go into the settings and change French to English if I were having a conversation with someone and wanted them to reply. Having that ping pong between the two would have been so much more useful to me, because at the moment it's a little bit of a faff to have any kind of conversation, because you'd have to say something, wait for it to respond, and then quickly head into the settings, change languages back, and then wait. And it just isn't the best solution for this kind of work. The player functionality is pretty pointless here in my opinion. It's basically an MP3 player, but you don't actually have a 3.5mm headphone jack, so you'd need to connect up some kind of Bluetooth speaker to it. I don't know why you would want to use this thing as a player or a media player, but you certainly can do that, and because of that USB-C cable, it is super easy to transfer content both on and off of the device. Recording, once again, is very self-explanatory. We're starting to move away from the language capabilities of this device into some more interesting use cases. In this mode, we're simply able to just make voice notes and record. It's very good for an audio recording device, just because of those dual microphones on the top. You're getting a very crisp and clear audio source, and I'll play an example of that here.
So here we are in the game, and it looks very Tron-esque, with all your lanes in front of you. As you're seeing, I'm flying straight through those blue ones.
I can actually see myself using this in lectures while I was at university, alongside some of the other features that we've got here, for quickly taking notes and remembering things that I was being told during lectures. And I think this is actually where this device shines the most, as opposed to that translator, particularly with that very limited online functionality. With all of these features, you'd probably expect the battery life to take a little bit of a hit. And I was expecting that too, but I'm happy to report that it really didn't. I was actually able to get a very solid battery life out of this thing. I was able to use it moderately throughout a day and still have a little bit of charge at the end of the day. So if you're a hardcore user, you might find that you need to charge it midday or so. But for a device and its capabilities, I think this is a pretty good battery life. Text excerpt was a super interesting feature that I actually really like, and I think would be one of the main reasons I would buy this device myself. It allows you to once again just push and scan text, but instead of translating it, it simply saves it as plain text. And then when we're done, we're able to connect it up to our computer and pull off these text files. So actually taking notes is as easy as pushing and scanning a text excerpt from a book or a sheet of paper, and it really is that simple. I found that during all of this process, the scanning was second to none. It never really missed a beat. While scanning excerpts or even translating, I was finding that maybe every so often I might get half a word because I didn't quite scan the full word. But overall, it was very, very competent at this, and I think is actually better than any smartphone would be able to produce right now. Of course, Apple and Android have the features that you're able to take a photo and take that text excerpt, but it's not always accurate. Here you are getting a much more accurate reading, but it would be up to you if you believe it's worth that £150 price tag to be able to do that. Anyway guys, thank you again to Newyes for sending this out for free for review. If you're interested in grabbing one of your own, the link will be in the description down below. You can buy it from there. It is an affiliate link. What that does mean is that it doesn't cost you anything extra, but I do get a little bit of a kickback if you do choose to buy it. Anyway guys, let me know in the comments down below what you think of this device. Do you like the idea of this device, or do you think that a smartphone could feasibly do everything that it does but better? Anyway, my name's been Robert, this has been Review Clue, and I will catch you in the next one. Adios.